Ho ho ho, you big dummy. 'Tis the season to be cold, and everyone's favorite Christmas catgirl has some menial chores for you to do. That's right, it's time for the Starlight Celebration. Hi, I'm Cider Spider, and I play Final Fantasy XIV. Because I'm rife with festivity and holiday cheer, today we're going to be taking a look at the latest seasonal event, the Starlight Celebration. If you're a big dumb noob who doesn't know anything, the Starlight Celebration is a winter holiday in Eorzea centered around gift-giving. It's basically Christmas without all the Coca-Cola and terrible music. The tradition goes back many a year to the tale of some starving orphans in the cold. A band of Ishgardian knights took a break from being classist, xenophobic religious zealots and decided to help the kids out by sneaking them into the army barracks so that they wouldn't freeze to death. Apparently there were thousands of these children, but because the knights hid them under big coats, no one noticed. I don't know how you hide 1,000 orphans in a cramped army barracks without the Pope finding out, but supposedly that's what happened. Also, this was allegedly to prevent the harsh cold weather of Kurthus from turning these kids into orphan-flavored popsicles, even though Kurthus wasn't harsh and cold until after the last calamity, which wasn't that long ago.
Eorzea's unity is forged of falsehoods. Its city-states are built on deceit.
And then the kids went on to dress in red like the knights that saved them and spread the spirit of kindness or whatever. The captain of the knights who led the whole thing came to be known as the Saint of Nemea, but considering Ishgard's track record with saints, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Fast forward some undisclosed amount of time and several Starlight celebrations later, and we find ourselves here in Gridania. Lorenzen is a Sharlayan scholar who's out to prove the role of reindeer in the Starlight Celebration lore. As far as anyone knows, it's unclear why these antler dogs have ever been related to the event, but stupid Bunny McGlassesface once read a book about magical starlight stags performing light shows, and he thinks they were integral to the celebration in the past. It's almost as if this is all being made up on the spot because they needed to come up with a new holiday reward.
It is not but a cobweb of lies.
According to this hapless bunny boy, his pet reindeer Blitzen has magic glamour powers, no not that kind, and he wants to show the magic to children to prove his hypothesis. If you think that sounds contrived and pointless, shut up. So out you go into the wispy and winding roads of the worst starting city, and try to round up kids for the laser light show. Trouble is, kids these days have lived through multiple failed calamities and at least one successful one. A stupid reindeer can't make a better light show than freaking Bahamut, and these little bastards are busy with their 401ks and their taxes anyway, so only one dweeb agrees to show up. Dweebus comes along to meet the reindeer, and we're all prepared to see some holiday magic. Thus, alakazam! Nothing happens. Worst Christmas ever! Blitzen performs exactly 0 magical illusions, unless you count yellow snow, and Dweeby McDoof calls the whole thing lame and turns his back on science, thus beginning his supervillain origin story. Lawrence is baffled that his experiment failed and contemplates turning his furry friend into a furry coat. He wanders off to wallow in self-doubt alongside his dumb animal friend, and the last time we let that happen, it almost ended the entire universe, so naturally we decide to follow the idiot. Meanwhile, the eyes of the thighs watch on from nearby. We find Bunny Dummy over at the growery, notably missing his hooved companion. After we remind him he's an idiot, he notices Blitzen is missing and freaks out. Thus we take off to find the deer before it gets turned into roadkill and subsequently dinner. 3 mandatory conversations later, and we stumble upon our wayward woodland creature. Blitzen Baller is chilling over by the Aetherite, criticizing glams and advertising gill-buying websites. That's when none other than the Saint of Nemea himself shows up to remind us about Christmas magic or whatever. But according to the legend, the Saint of Nemea was an Ishgardian captain, so this is either the stubbiest Ellison I've ever seen, or we're being bamboozled by a drunk, homeless mall Santa.
Why do they cling to these false deities?
So yeah, the questionable pantsless saint is lecturing us about holiday spirit when all of a sudden, some dumb kid is crying. I don't know why that's our problem, but we all rush over to save the day or something. This stupid baby pants idiot is crying so hard that we can't ask her what's wrong, so the only solution is holiday magic. Kupo. And so NFL Blitz 2003 finally performs a stupid light show, and this little Ellison brat is so thoroughly whelmed that she stops crying and tells us she lost her mommy. Well, no one frickin' plays Fem Ellison, so finding this dummy's mom isn't exactly Where's Waldo. Thus, we opt to locate the missing mummy with the most foolproof method we can imagine. Since apparently it wasn't enough for this wimpy cretin to whine and wail loud enough to be heard from across the plaza, we elect to also just yell really loud, and somehow it works. Thus, the day was saved. Thank the elementals, praise the gods,
Call them down!
and all that jazz. Larry and his pet moose rejoice in the glory of, Christmas, and everyone wanders happily ever the hell away from me. We gingerly report back to Amainika Ranger to collect our reward. A pet Blitzen of our very own. Or a glamour of one? What? You can't just make a mount out of glamour. Can you? Why the heck are we breeding turduckens if we can ride glamour prisms? Get the lore department on the phone. I'd like to file a complaint. Well, anyway, that's the event. It's surprisingly dull and straightforward for such a major holiday. Usually there are fun little mini-games or big Jenga towers to climb or I don't know, something. This one was just kind of mid. But wait, there's more. If you enjoyed walking around Gridania and talking to people, for a limited time only, we'll double the offer. That's right, twice as much walking around Gridania and talking to people. For some reason, this wasn't included in the base event quest, but there's an extra jaunt you can take with Lawrence of Arabia. Now that his heart has grown 3 sizes and he solved his pony's impotence, it's time to go around caroling to spread Starlight cheer to all those dumb kids that weren't interested in seeing it the first time. This extra segment allows you to spread 5 cheers to 5 children, and that's the kind of value you just aren't gonna get in any other MMO. Oh boy, let's get started. So we're showing a kid some reindeer magic when who should stop by but Master Beaten and Fafucka. Fufucha? Yeah, let's go with that. Alas, another part of the Starlight Celebration are what's called the Little Helpers, who are volunteers that help pass out trash. Thus, we get some fun little scenes with a bunch of characters that most people have never even met because no one does crafting. Fufucha is the head of the Botany Guild, so she knows her way around a log. Master Beaten is head hog at the Carpenters Guild, so polishing wood is his specialty. Together, they come bearing the gift of wood. Blocks. Wooden blocks. Merry Christmas, doofus. Next, we skip on over to the Leatherworkers Guild to show our shiny reindeer to another dope. Predictably, the guild leader wanders out to pass out gifts. Doubly predictable, the lead leather mommy is passing out leather accessories. Don't know what the heck kids are supposed to do with those, but alright, fine. It's a good thing you're hot, leather lady, cause otherwise I'd sure have some questions for you. Speaking of mommies, next up is Mother Mune. Now that the Adventurers Guild is thoroughly beneath us, we hardly ever see her anymore. She interrupts our reindeer games to pass out cookies, and look at that, wow, finally, something normal. While it's a shame she lives in Gridania, Mune certainly deserves a place somewhere on the underrated waifus list. Except, she didn't give me any cookies, so that's gonna cost her some points. What gives, eh? So you get the point by now. We flash some kid with holiday cheer and a familiar face happens by with a gift. The only mystery is who's going to turn up to give the dumb kid a dumb gift. Well, I didn't see this next one coming, but it was freaking Lamerick who just happened to be in town. He decided to help out with the celebration since it's originally an Ishgardian tradition, and he'd rather be doing anything other than helping the poor low-class kids in his own town. It's worth noting that children actually do freeze to death in Ishgard over the course of this game, but I sure am glad to see Amaric handing out coats for the younglings in temperate Gridania. That's right, coats! That's what he's handing out. Look how happy this dweeb is to receive her brand new Ishgardian coat. You know, Amaric also gave me one of those for ending the Dragon Song War, and I gotta say, it feels a bit less special now. Don't act like I don't know why you kept those metal shin guards on, you cantankerous Dalmal. Alright, what's next? Apkalu Falls. But if no one's around, does it make a sound? Heidi-ho, there you go, it's a magic reindeer show. Then the dweebest of losers arrives to hand over a doll. It's all pretty typical, and then along comes a suave champion to proffer an allegedly better gift in the form of cooking utensils. Then the two Santas start arguing, one thing leads to another. They fall on top of each other, some lips end up where they weren't supposed to, and well, that's what'll happen in the fanfics anyway. Practically writes itself. Let's not pretend the writers didn't know what they were doing when they scripted this scene. They know what this fanbase is like. So anyway, kind of a weird note to end on, but that's the last scene in the list, and there's nothing left of this event. Oh, you can buy a nice tree for your lawn, unless you have an apartment, in which case, screw you! Might as well grab a bunch anyway, it'll be cash shop later. Well, that's just about all I've got. I'm gonna go get back to slamming hard eggnog and passing out rats to sprouts. Merry Christmas, you freaking weebs. 1 like equals 1 rat, Cape bye.